you all for joining us here today. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, Minister of Defense, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassador of Israel, Bishop of Messauria, Chief of National Guard, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to be here with you today to speak about the escape of the Jews from Cyprus and the help provided by the locals in the years 1946 to 1949. My speech is based on my research that I started in February 2018, a few days after I attended the conference, Historical Perspective of Jewish Presence in Cyprus, which was organized by the Embassy of Israel and the University of Cyprus. During that conference, Professor Yosef Ben Archie referred to some Jewish documents which caught my attention and gave me the impetus to carry out the research on the contribution of Derinia to the escape of the Jews from Cyprus. It is a research that sheds light on unknown or even forgotten aspects of our history. Here is how the story goes. On August 13, 1946, the British government made public its decision to ban Jewish refugees from entering Palestine when their number exceeded the quota of 1,500 persons per month, and authorized the British commander to send them to Cyprus. At the same time, British warships and planes will intercept any ships carrying Jewish refugees and take them to the port of Famagusta. That operation, it is known as Operation Igloo. On August 14, 1946, the ship Yagar entered the port of Famagusta loaded with 754 Jewish refugees whom the British placed in tents at the Karaulos detention camp. The tents and the rest of the facilities were erected by German prisoners of war held by the British in the Cortes-Sans concentration camp on the site where the Cortes-Sans Hotel is today, on the Turkish-occupied beach of Agios Memnon in Varosha. From that day on, 2 to 3 ships a week arrive at the port of Famagusta, loaded with Jewish refugees from Europe. Cypriot organizations, social, religious, and political groups of that time reacted immediately and publicized their opposition to the British decision. The reaction was universal, but the philosophies of each organization were different. So it depends on one's ideology. Jewish refugees were called smuggled immigrants or illegal immigrants, and in other times they were called refugees or prisoners. A good source of information for this matter is the book Camps for Jewish Refugees in Cyprus, written by Vasilikis Agiotis. Through those publications and also from the rumors circulating within the Cypriot society, the small Jewish community of Cyprus was aware of the opinion and the beliefs of the Cypriots regarding that issue. President of the small Jewish community of Cyprus at that time was Ida Pergin, a dynamic woman and active member of Famagusta society who had 100 acres orange grove in the agricultural area of Derinyia and had excellent cooperation with the Farmers Union of Εβραίων. Secretary of the Jewish community was Gabriel Berti, whose family had their farm in Koukia of Messauria. Both of them were people who had constant contact with the Cypriots and their organizations, and they knew very well the opinion and the beliefs of the locals. When the Jewish organizations operating in Palestine and abroad looked for their ways to help the young Jews to escape from the detention camps, in order to reach Palestine to participate in their struggle for liberation, the Jewish community brought them in contact with Prodromos Papavasiliou, a leading figure of Εβραίων and active member of AGEL. After finding a common ground, they formalized their collaboration at a meeting held in Larnaca and attended by representatives of Jewish organizations and members of the Vigilance Department of AGEL. Details of that meeting can be found in Professor Dani Golba's essay, Famagusta's Historic Detention and Refugee Camps. The decision was forwarded to the AGEL Vigilance Office of Famagusta, which undertook the formation of an action group that would be made of trusted party members, with Prodromos Papavasiliou playing a very important and leading role in the coordination of the group and in the communication with the leaders of the Jewish organization. That collaboration is recorded in Jewish documents of the time as well as in various academic writings of today. The action group consisted of residents of Varosha and people from Derinia. We could say that the action group consisted of two subgroups, that of Varosha and the group of Derinia. It is important to mention at this point that another group of AGEL members from Xilotimpu village was acting in their area, helping Jewish detainees escape from the detention camps of Xilotimpu and Dikeia. More information about the activity of that group can be found in Professor Eliana Hachisava writings. The action group of Arosha was responsible for the secret and safe transportation of the Jewish escapees and their safe hiding in secret places south of Famagusta. It was also responsible for the reception and safe transport of Haganah officials who arrived secretly in Cyprus with the intention of entering the Garaulos detention camp for military training of the young Jews held there. The team of Derinia consisted of some war veterans like Kostas Hatsanastasi, who was the coordinator, Georgios Katsandoni, a truck driver, Georgios Karayiannis and Bais Tovias, who were guides and companions of the Jewish escapees. Drivers of the camps transporting Jews were also Yannis Mavros and Nicolas Aspris. Co-drivers or companions in the trucks were Panayotis Violaris and Anastasis Yorkalos, Georgios Karayiannis, Bais Tovias, and Panayotis Mohikas. A role worth mentioning was played by Fotini Pavlou, who daily offered food to the Jews who found refuge in Agios Konstantinos Aqueduct in Derinia and in several caves nearby. Shelter to the Jewish escapee was offered by Dimitris Aspru in his farm on the seashore of Derinia, Andreas Shailis in his orchard in Strovia, and Anezum Bey in the stable of her house in Derinia. Eyewitnesses to that mission were Yorgos Yorkalos, who testifies that he was a small child when his father Anastasis took him with him in a case where he was accompanying Yorgos Katsandonis. In that case, they took a group of Jews from a cave north of Derinia and transported them to the coast east of the village. A similar testimony is given by Vladimiros Aspris, who remembers that at the age of 6, he happened to accompany his father Nicolas, who was transporting Jews in a truck belonging to Loel wineries. The transportation of children was done for deception in case they were stopped for inspection by the British. Dina Andrea Gabriel testifies that as a child, she saw the Jewish escapees wandering around the Aharonis plantation at 4 miles point west of Derinia. Kristaleni Rulsu, at the age of 8, saw the Jews hiding in her father's orange grove in Skrovia. She recalls the blankets that the Jews put on the ground when they lay down under the trees. The blankets were filled with grass, which was difficult to remove. Christakis Mavros used to say that his father Yannis happened to take home pieces of the tent fabric that the Jews gave him from time to time when he transported them by his truck. His mother used that fabric to sew work trousers for men. Andreas Marinos was telling me the other day that his parents had their farm opposite Alharonis plantation, and they often saw small groups of 10 or 20 Jews wandering about in the neighboring fields. Once, a group of 20 Jews went into Marinos' farm right at the time when his mother was taking the freshly baked bread out of the oven. When she saw the young Jews, she asked them if they were hungry. They didn't eat at all that day, so she gave them all the loaves of bread to seize their hunger. Because of the secrecy of the mission, the participants in that effort did not tell anyone anything about their action. So in one case, Dimitris Aspros' wife spotted a group of young Jews in her farm. Thinking they were thieves, she started shouting. The Coast Guard heard her shouting and ran for her, resulting in the arrest of the Jews. According to eyewitnesses, the British forced the young escapees to return to Varosha on foot. Another incident worth mentioning is the burning of the British RSD warehouses. When the British realized that something was missing, they scheduled an inspection. Some of the workers helped the Jews set fire to the warehouses to thwart the inspection. Among those workers were Andreas Zanubas and Gabriel Roussos from Derinia. It is obvious that this collective effort was a well-organized, secretive, and unprofitable voluntary mission that often put its participants at risk, offering various forms of help to hundreds of Jewish escapees. Dear friend, Ambassador of Israel, my research is the least I could do to thank you for the hospitality and the solidarity your compatriots show me throughout my 4th month stay in Israel a few years ago. Thank you very much.